good, you guys? It's Boomer and Jared watching Bali Star. Today, we is getting into top 10 TV shows we shouldn't have been watching as kids. Now, there are definitely shows we shouldn't have been watching, but dang it, did we watch them? Because, yeah, we wanted to. But most of us didn't have that luxury. Speaking for myself personally, my parents utilized the parental block on the TV. Man, those days were rough. I'm telling you, I was going through the trenches. Parental block even on BET. Even on shows as Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and even Disney Channel. Just because like my parents didn't want me watching TV at all, other than the shows that they watched. You know, the boring daytime television, news. That's about it. Or those relating towards that, those type of adult shows, man. It's like, bro, we couldn't even watch Cartoon Network, bro. Again, I was going through it, man. I was going through it, and those were like most days of me as a kid, man. Like, I couldn't have even gotten into that much trouble, and they would do it. Something as simple as like not, forgetting to wash one dish in the sink. They would do it. So, even shows I was allowed to watch, they still kept the parental block on shows such as South Park, Beavis and Butthead, anything that was like TV 14 and up. TV 14 and up. So even some shows on Cartoon Network, I couldn't watch. Adult Swim, forget about it. Man, those were dark times. But yeah, let's get into the video. Let's go.
You must be exhausted, Fred, dear. Would you like to freshen up?
Yes, been quite a trip it has.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 TV shows we shouldn't have been watching as kids.
We followed the Pied Piper of Hamsteak to the gates of oblivion, and look what this brought us!
For this list, we're looking at the most notable television series from our youth with the inappropriate jokes that went right over our heads, as well as shows that still give us nightmares to this day. Which of these series traumatized you growing up? Let us know in the comments. Number 10, Jerry Springer. Say it with us now.
Jerry. I never really got much into Jerry Springer, though.
Springer's name along with the studio audience as a child. You had a much more wholesome upbringing than we did.
As a kid.
This talk show was the definition of trash TV. Always ripe for fights, parent reveals, and other drama.
I don't know if my baby is AJ's or David's.
But America just couldn't get enough. This isn't one of those kid shows we later realized was disguising some pretty dirty joke. Oh no. This is just one of those shows that your mom had on, which meant that you had to watch it too.
My mom
it
had
never
it on.
Tried to hide its
this
lewdness.
She was more The View, those type of shows. Oprah Winfrey.
Seriously, Springer coming down a stripper pole is an image we'll never forget. Number 9, Beavis and Butthead. With their iconic voices and even more iconic laughs, Beavis and Butthead were a staple in the household of any 90s kid.
Are you gonna laugh for the rest of your lives every time someone says the name Butt Kiss?
But while their dumb humor often made us laugh, a lot of the show went right over our heads. Beavis and Butthead followed the antics of two teenagers who did not care about anything but themselves and rock and roll. Yet behind all that adolescent indifference, the writers were hiding some pretty clever social commentary. Still, as kids, did we care about or even understand what Beavis and Butthead had to say about society? Did we care that watching the show was like looking into a mirror?
I am Cornelio. My bunghole will speak now.
Absolutely not. We just wanted some laughs. Number 8, The X-Files. If you've grown up believing in conspiracy theories, distrusting the government, and also believing that aliens definitely exist, you could thank The X-Files.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Logically, I would have to say no.
This beloved 90s pop culture staple taught a generation of kids to question everything. But we were all too young to be watching it in the first place. We definitely
Really?
did not understand the high level of espionage and cover-ups that were happening at the time.
Yeah, that's what mostly bored me about it. It's like, what's going on?
But watching Mulder and
Most of the
Scully
time.
solve
I just wanna see
mysteries
the
was still
aliens.
the highlight of most of our weeks. And if there's one thing we did understand, it's that they were the epitome of true love. Number 7, Jackass.
Jackass.
The true meaning of friendship. Performing death-defying stunts together.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass.
Names like Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, and Wee Man will forever mean the world to those of us who grew up in the early 2000s. But just because we've come to love these wild guys and their exploits,
Y'all remember
that doesn't
Wild
mean
Boys
that
too?
watching Jackass was the best thing we could have done for our young minds.
Charge!
No matter how many times the show warned us that these pranks were best not tried at home, a brave few among us could not be stopped. After a few broken bones, and a few severely crushed egos, we've all, hopefully, learned to leave it to the professionals.
People that try to emulate this, bruh. Thank God I was black. I hung out with black friends at the
Number
time.
6, Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah, shit,
Back
my
in
white
the early
friends
90s,
wouldn't really do that
Nickelodeon
much.
had a real thing for quirky animated shows about animals, chock full of dirty jokes no kid could ever understand. We almost went with the
Rocko's
Ren and
Modern
Stimpy
Life
show to highlight this
kinda
very
bored me, though.
specific genre. But we've got
Ren
another
and
little
Stimpy before
creature
they
in
went
mind.
X-rated.
Rocko's Modern Life has become notorious for being one of the most inappropriate kid shows to ever grace our screens.
Ah, you can't fool me. I can smell a beaver from 30 miles away.
It did feature some smart social satire, but for the most part, low-hanging fruit is what it chose to shoot for. With sexual jokes out the wazoo, there's
I
no
love
way
this
we
dog.
should have been watching this
The
show as
stupid
young
look
as
on
we
his
were.
face.
Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
I remember this one.
Number
Yo,
5,
this one
Family
stood out
Guy.
to me. I was like,
A lot
yo,
of the
what?
cartoons we watched growing up might have been inappropriate, but at least they were marketed towards children.
I squandered my munitions budget on that insipid Rugrats video.
Family Guy, on the other hand, is decidedly adult.
I need it because I think I might be pregnant.
What? My God, are you sure it's yours?
Now, some of us probably came to this animated show in our later childhood years, but that doesn't mean we were old enough to completely get it.
What the hell was that?
Yet, watching Family Guy as a young preteen was almost like a rite of passage. Still, we didn't grasp the critique of American culture that's taking place, or most of the more meta jokes that Brian and Stewie are making.
Oh my God, what's with Meg's voice? She sounds like someone who's about to give up a huge opportunity.
Thankfully, it taught us to look for that kind of searing commentary later on. And it's pretty funny, too. Number 4, Unsolved Mysteries.
A young housewife who disappeared. A local hero turned bad. An escaped convict. 3 people whose fate remains a question mark.
While it might feel like we've been experiencing a true crime popularity bump for the past few years, any 80s or 90s kid can tell you that we've had that fever for much longer. Unsolved Mysteries started in 1987, and though it has aired in fits and starts over the years, it still manages to freak kids out. The show is
Really?
responsible for turning a generation of children into
I remember getting
aspiring
freaked out by this one show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This one episode of it, bro. Oh, nah. I never want to see that again, bro. I'm
private
not even going
eyes.
to mention
There
it
was not a
because
single clue.
I don't want none of y'all to bring that shit
Disappearance
up.
and death of Kimberly Pandelios.
It's also definitely the reason so many of us can churn out facts about random cold cases from 50 years ago. While we have fond memories of Unsolved Mysteries, we can admit that the show was far too realistic and brutal for our young psyches to handle.
Join me for these intriguing and fascinating cases in tonight's edition of Unsolved Mysteries.
Number 3, Tales from the Crypt. The horror genre feels like something you would, or should, want to stray away from as a kid. Yet there sure were a lot of scary series that we ended up watching back in the day.
Well,
There was.
hello there, boils and duels.
Some of us enjoyed reading scary stories to tell in the dark,
Goosebumps.
or watching and reading Goosebumps. But the least kid-friendly option was the delightfully spooky Tales from the Crypt.
A tale I call Four-Sided Triangle.
Hosted by the always freaky Crypt Keeper, this horror anthology dove into every terror under the sun. And by virtue of airing on HBO, it did not face the same restrictions that some of the genre's other series did.
Naughty or nice?
Whether it be violence, nudity, or curse words, we saw it all years before we should have on Tales from the Crypt. Number 2, are you afraid of the dark?
Nah.
When you were little,
Nah.
what were the sounds
No,
that
no,
went
no,
bump
no,
in the
no,
night that
no,
made
no,
you
no,
scared to
no,
get
no,
out of bed?
no, no,
This is
no,
a
no,
warning
no.
to all who join us. You're going to leave the comfort of the light and step into the world of the supernatural.
What are the stories that still haunt you to this day? Well, we bet that a majority of those tales come from Are You Afraid of the Dark? This Nickelodeon horror series does not have quite the leeway that something like Tales from the Crypt did, but that
And it
almost
came
makes
on
it
at like
scarier.
9
Tell me that
p.m.
wasn't the best.
It had to be
in the
innovative in
nighttime.
the
It
ways
always
it chose
came
to
on
scare
at
us.
Nick at
And
Night.
boy, did it scare us. The show is centered around a group of kids who tell the audience different terrifying stories every week.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story Tale of the Dead Man's Float.
Between episodes, we just have nightmare after nightmare about what went down. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to
Oh,
our
thank
channel
God they didn't
and
show
ring
it.
the bell to
That
get
one
notified
episode.
about our
Thank
latest
God.
videos.
I
You
was-
have the
I don't
option to be
know if I was ready to
notified
see
for
that
occasional
again.
videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, South Park.
Of course.
This animated
Of
show
course.
encompasses so much of what we've discussed throughout this list. Are there dirty jokes? Is it high concept material? You can check yes on each of those boxes because South Park has it all.
My authority.
I'm a cop, and you will respect my authority.
For most of us, watching this series introduced us to satire and humor in a way we hadn't seen before. Much like Family Guy, we started watching way before we actually understood what was going on. By the same token, we couldn't appreciate the social commentary, caricature, irony, and all sorts of other devices that are baked into each episode.
Cartman? Cartman saved the day?
Can't be. It's only when
Can't
you
be.
revisit it in later years that you appreciate everything it's doing. It's no wonder the show is still so popular.
Oh my god, they killed Kenny!
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other
Oh, hey, good. It was good. Alright, you guys. So that was top 10 TV shows we shouldn't have been watching as kids. I agree. You know, some we definitely shouldn't have been watching that was older. Some I had no idea that we shouldn't have been watching. You know, like Tales from the Crypt. I didn't know it embodied all of that. You know, again, like I was going to say before, they mentioned Are You Afraid of the Dark? If I was into horror, I wish I would have watched it, you know what I'm saying, if I was into horror and thriller like that. And yeah, some kids cartoon show that we shouldn't have been watching, I guess, went over our heads, you know what I'm saying. Me personally, it did, because Rocko's Modern Life, like, I never really got into it like that, and I wasn't aware of the innuendos and you know, stuff that went over our head, the jokes that, you know, were in it. I wasn't aware of all that, you know, at the time. I did sort of catch that Hotline one, though, when I was young. I was kind of old enough to know what the Hotline embodied, and I was just like, bro, but that was about it, you know what I'm saying? But y'all let me know your thoughts about it. Y'all let me know what shows we shouldn't have been watching, or any of your thoughts about any of the shows listed in the video. Leave a like, support the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, so that we join up with the Bomb Squad, you dig? And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one, 100. Oh!
Yeah.